So I kind of knew what I was looking for. You know, that first red candle that takes out the previous candle. This is the 1 minute chart. So that's when you short it. That's where you have a set risk reward. You can just use these highs as a stop. Obviously, it's gonna be a lot of slippage because this is an enormously fast-moving stock. But that's at least you have a set risk reward versus you start shorting it randomly and adding and hoping for the best. And that's what I did. I was patient. I waited for it. Let's see. I closed this one. Let's see. And then I shorted. After this last halt, it traded around a little bit, and then it kind of, on this candle here, it kind of traded up down in this range, in this 70 and 74 for like, I don't know, 10-15 seconds. And as soon as it broke that range, it started going lower. I shorted 5,000 shares, and just literally a second later, when it took out the lows of the previous candle, I shorted another 5,000 shares. So I got an average of 65 average with 10,000 shares. So which is down here. And now I knew my risk is up here, 73. So yeah, it was a pretty big risk. 65, and let's say, I mean, with slippage, I could have easily, you know, it was pretty much $100,000 risk I had, but it was a very high probability trade. And then it got halted on downside, like literally like half a second or 1 second after I got in, I shorted the second 5,000 shares. It got halted, and it was halted for 5 minutes at a time on the way up, and then on the way down it was halted for 10 minutes at a time. I don't know why. I think this first halt was like 15 minutes even. And then was pretty easy riding. I just had to cover on the way down, and I covered pretty perfect. I covered my last like 1,000 shares down here in 28 or something, and I made a total. So I turned $52,000 loss into a $216,000 profit. So it was like $267,000 profit. Oh, on that trade, on near the top, that was you know, almost a $300,000 profit. So it was a pretty not bad for an hour of sitting on your ass and just covering. But the only reason I was able to do this was because I felt the pain. You know, I've been on these kinds of moves before. I knew I refused to be early, and I knew exactly what to look for.